everyone, and thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Roofing Contractor, and welcome to our Best of Success podcast show. It's always an honor to have Trent Cotney, partner with Adams and Reese. Trent, thank you so much for joining me.
Jill, it's good to see you again.
Well, we're excited. I'm excited for this conversation today, Trent, because there's clearly been some liability issues that have arisen that have kind of been making your phone ring recently. Let's talk about that. Talk about, you were mentioning something about liability when it comes to drainage or existing drainage. What does everybody need to know?
Yeah, so if you're a contractor and you're either having to remove, work around, or assume that existing drainage works, and by drainage it can be anything from an existing gutter system to downspouts to scuppers to whatever gets water off of the building and into the ground. There's a lot of potential liability there because oftentimes when you're trying, let's say you're redoing a roof or you're working on exteriors or whatever it is, and you're putting on new systems, the existing drainage may not be capable of handling whatever the new, flow is based off of the existing system. So it's real important that if the customer is not allowing you to replace that drainage, that you disclaim that from your contract and that you specifically call out the potential problems if everything from roof failure or exterior finishing failure to roof collapse. You want to call out all those types of things in your contract so that you don't face potential claims if you are not allowed to touch or deal with existing drainage. Classic example is, let's say you're a trade working on a building. There may be runoff, but you may end up getting some construction debris that gets into that drainage, right? And that can cause a backup, which in turn can cause all kinds of problems. So just be aware of it. It's been on my desk a number of times now to where it's beyond a coincidence. I think it's something that you should really take into account in your contract.
Well, and existing drains can be kind of go down the center of the building as well, not just the exterior, correct?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and especially if you're going to older buildings, God knows what's in them. And, you can get bad pipes, you can get all kinds of stuff, and you're inheriting that, right? If there's ever an issue with that and you're in the middle of construction, the finger's going to be pointed at you. So it's really important that you take that into account and disclaim liability.
Very good insight, Trent, as always. And the other thing we were talking about that was definitely something else that's very important for all contractors to listen to is just some other design issues and liability. What is that? Can you explain again? What does everybody need to know?
Yeah, so, design and construction go hand in hand. And, historically, design professionals, architects, engineers, consultants are responsible for plans and specs, and the contractor is responsible for construction. The problem is that a lot of times there's sort of a melding of the two, a mixing of the two that causes contractor to have potential design liability. So to give you a few examples, on the roofing side, you may use a specific system that is identified by a manufacturer, but in the field, you have to make certain adjustments or changes based on the exact, the real conditions, the actual conditions that you have out there. Similarly, in an exterior type fashion, you may have to, install certain flashings or do other things that may be outside what is normally identified in plans and specs. And anytime you're doing that, whether it's field changes or not, there's potential design liability. So how do you deal with it? First thing is I recommend that you look into getting an errors and omissions rider on your CGL policy, or look to get a separate E&O policy that could potentially cover design related defects in the event you get tagged with them as a contractor or trade. Second thing that you need to do is, I'm a big believer in your scope to not only say what you're going to do, but say what you're not going to do. So I like to specifically state, I am not responsible for design. I disclaim any liability associated with the design of this project. The design is solely the architects or whatever, something along those lines, so that it gives you another contractual mechanism to potentially defend claims. Seeing an uptick in this, right? And I think part of it is customers are trying to find more ways to tag contractors for potential problems with designs that they may have endorsed or required. So be aware of this and work with both your insurance agent and your contract terms to make sure that you've got some additional protection.
Yeah, very good. Now, are you seeing these claims more in certain parts of the country, or is it kind of all over?
So in thinking about it, I've had definitely an uptick in Florida. I would say Midwest, Chicago area. I've seen a lot, and in California as well. Those three areas, are the ones that come up the most. But that's not to say that I'd be shocked if I don't see it everywhere, because I think it's just another way for a customer to potentially, go out there and grab insurance, from a contractor, or try to hold them liable for a bad design.
Yeah, no, sounds great, Trent. And so if anybody needed so can they all get this pretty much from their own attorney locally, or is there any place on the Adams and Reese website that they might be able to see some of that verbiage?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on an article right now, for the Florida Association that I'll put out. I'll be speaking on this topic for one of the Chicago associations in January, and I don't doubt that there'll be additional information that I'll put out, via social media and stuff like that, along with some contract provisions. So I would say, check in to social media. You can follow me at Trent Cotney.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks again, Trent. And we just gave your handle for social media, but what's the best way to get a hold of you if
Sure. Email me, trent.cotney@arlaw.com.
Sounds great. Thanks again for all the nuggets as well, Trent. And if anybody has any questions for us, it's roofingcontractor.com or wconline.com. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for all our free content, especially follow us on our social media so you can see our posts as well that we share of Trent's, and sign up for our free e-newsletter. So that way you can stay up to date always and stay safe and healthy. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Trent.
Thank you.